make some remarks if I could.
Okay.
I've been here for 60 years, and in the 60 years I've lived here in Thermopolis, I've lived in 9 different parts of the town, all the way from 6th Street to Peppermint Lane to down where I'm at now on Ryan. I've lived on Amaretti, 9 different places, and during that time I've, at every one of these places I've lived at, I've had to turn people in for barking dogs and dogs that are let loose and crap in your yard, and cats that take over the flower beds as their cat box and peeing on the deck and so forth. I really have nothing against chickens, dogs, cats, any of this stuff. I love animals, and actually I'd rather have lived by a neighbor that has chickens than those people that have dogs and cats and don't take care of them. And I'm sure dogs and cats are actually worse, I can't argue that point with you, than the chickens would be. And I doubt if I'd ever have a chicken come and poop in my yard, and I'd rather listen to chickens than I would dogs and cats barking all the time. But I do have some concerns. A couple concerns. One of the concerns I have is our law enforcement. Over the years, they spend a tremendous amount of time on nuisances. Probably much more time than they actually should have to spend on nuisances. I'm talking about all kinds of nuisances. Yes, and during the 17 and a half years that I've served as mayor and a councilman here, I've never had probably more than 2 or 3 calls on people with concerns about the town other than dealing with nuisances. And every time this chicken thing comes up, my telephone starts ringing, and it never stops with people pleading, don't allow chickens, don't allow chickens. And it's happened again in the last few weeks. Like I say, I personally don't have any problem with it, but the town also, over the years that I've been involved in the council here, we've done several different surveys over the years asking the people in the community what they like about the community, ways we can improve the communities and things like that. And the one thing that always comes up as the number one thing on every one of these surveys is people want our town cleaned up and these nuisances taken care of. And I personally feel as a councilman that it's my duty to do what is best for the town, and to also I think it's common sense at my own personal feeling that we have so many nuisances as it is, not just with dogs and cats, but with deer and crows and everything else, and junky yards, that I just hate to see another nuisance. But I have nothing against chickens. I want you to know that.
May I respond just briefly? Yeah. In all due respect, that's assuming that there'll be a nuisance. So that's why all the painstaking hard work, the respect that council, all those things is cats, dogs don't have to go through the course that we're offering. Even junk cars, I can go get one right now and slap it out there. John, help me get rid of one. I don't intend to get another one, but that's an assumption. That's an old mindset about nuisance. And automatically you can actually check the police report between May and June. You'll see I called them 18 times due to a drunk neighbor and 2 dogs. And so I understand all that, but it's like the control and giving us an opportunity to be there. Chickens add to the community. They actually take care of bugs. I mean, I don't even want to go into all that stuff. So everything you've responded to is understandable. But at this point, I think it's like, what did I put on here? It's pandering to an unreasonable dissenter, because those people aren't here. Those people have been given months and years to come forward, and emails aren't enough. They need to be here right now to respond to that, to actually give that a voice. And so I'm asking to push past that voice and not just honor this, but the actual ability of the community, FFA, 4-H, you know, the extension office. Everybody's ready for this. There's people ordering them online. There's people building coops right now. They're worried about everything, way beyond even that nuisance level. And that's assuming that there'll be a nuisance. So I disagree with that angle, but I respect.
Yeah, and I agree with what you say. As a matter of fact, when I was mayor, I allowed a lady to have goats in town to clean up her yard, and I knew if 2 or 3 ag students had chickens, I never said a word about it, because if people take care of this stuff, but I do know
Yeah.
that, and I almost would like to put it up to a vote, and I agree those people should be here.
Yeah.
But the majority, I just basically am saying the majority of the town don't want chickens.
I believe that's changed, I do. And I'm asking the council, what, we live in a democracy, but we also live in a republic, where you all respectively been elected to make a choice. So I think any further dragging this out is, I just want to see what's actually said tonight. Like I'm putting myself out there, I didn't ask anybody, you know, what they were gonna say, but I believe it's a smart decision for the town. I believe that the thing that would upset me the most, honestly, is we didn't do it when I thought it was right. We're doing it now because it's political, but it is politically on the yes side. If you check Facebook, check the town, check the coffee shops, it's changed. So I'd love to sit down with those people that you get emails from.
Well, I think it has changed, especially since the price of the eggs have gone up and stuff.
Yeah.
But, I remember a year or two ago here, when we asked you to get 150 people sign a petition, it was favoring chickens, and you couldn't come up with 100 names.
Well, since you brought that up, the way that they did that was actually highly illegal.
I'm gonna throw the timeout flag
Yeah,
on that
thank
one,
you.
because,
Yeah.
the administrative team here is different now, so.
Yeah. Let's just respond to that. So.
Yeah, I know, yeah, anyway. So, any further discussion there?
I have just one question. As I was reading through that, if we were to pass all of them, allow all 4 of the things that you're looking for, what about lot size and requirements of lot size? I kind of worry about, I have a couple houses on my block, very tiny lots.
And that, yeah, chickens now, that stuff, open it up, it's actually proven, like my own experience, I had sheep in high school, I didn't know they were illegal till 20 years later. But it was the blanket ruling and the possible zoning of those is the discussion for those things. Chicken would be townwide, you know, right now, right here is what I'm asking for.
So you're just looking for chickens really right now?
Right now, and then further, cause like Doug Nielsen has come on board as a possible instructor for the course that we're offering and all that stuff, and so it's an educated move forward. It's just not a 16-year-old kid asking for a car and not gonna take care of it. But yeah, those things, ducks have actually proven, not to take too much time, but they proved actually more efficient than chickens in some way. You know, rabbits and goat manure can be put directly on. Mary Fricks Bell, who makes the soap, she said she could make a lot of soap with those, and her property is on a corner of an alley on Chevy Chase or near there. So it's just examining the efficiency of those things, but not townwide. I believe that chickens can be managed, and even as Bill positively, negatively reinforced that somehow, is as you go forward with that, with chickens, and then explore those. And once we have that team together, you know, once we see, you know, these kids getting involved, you know, we don't wanna run forward. Everybody's bought pets for kids, and then guess who gets to take care of them? So I don't want that on the cops, I don't want that on the council. So it's basically, I think we're ready for chickens. I think people are more than ready in here. And probably next meeting, not to give any threats, but there's gonna be about 70 corduroy jackets in here wanting to know what we're doing. And I couldn't get them tonight, that would've been awesome and dramatic, but no, to answer your questions, chickens right now townwide, I believe we're ready for it. And then other things to explore them, and as I told Mr. Mayor, I wanted to be, I don't wanna veil anything. I got chewed out in the lobby one time for veiling my attack or whatever, so we look at that as just those things are being efficient in other towns and other communities, and it's a possibility, and when we speak about sustainability, chickens ain't gonna get it done. So we wanna leave that open and be honest with that.
Okay, thanks.
Councilmembers, any questions? Other questions for Mr. Butcher?
May I say something?
Yeah.
I know he's asking for tonight. I have procedural issues, I should say, nothing substantive, just in the
That
way
was-
that we'd have to.
My question is, what's the process from here, because you have me, a new mayor, a new council member, and what would our process be from here? What's prudent? Should it be the council's wish? And like, do we need to like slide a workshop in next week somewhere? Do we need to go to those lengths? I wanna make sure we're doing things appropriately.
I think, the proper thing to do would be for some discussion, or if you wanna do a workshop, but something where you have some findings and what you want in a draft ordinance in the first place. Have a properly drafted ordinance that needs to be properly read and with the ability to publish, as it would be in codification. And then from there, just get to it and vote on it.
So do we have to have,
3 times.
so we have to have the 3 readings, would that be 3 separate meetings, or, cause there is a, and I like when someone brings me a sense of urgency, but tells me why. So I understand the spring, you know, is the best time for people to get rolling, and then we don't have people, what does our time frame look like?
Yes, you would still need 3 separate readings.
Okay, and those happen at a meeting?
Yes, I could, looking at it, usually it does happen at a normal meeting, but if you wanted to have a special meeting in between those and still have it published and where people can come up and show, you could do that as well to speed up the process if you wanted.
Okay.
But, I'll have to take a look, but I do believe you need, you're gonna need at least 7 days in between each one, so.
And forgive me of the ignorance on that, this is basically, this is what I desire, and then however it fits into what you guys have to actually do.
Yeah,
But like the FFA, a new thing as well is the fair coming up, there's a birthing
Right.
and a maturity that we thought we'd squeeze in too, that I learned since.
right. What Mr. Keller's going through there right now is a state statute, so we're,
Yeah.
you know.
But that's what I mean, is like, forgive me for the ignorance. of-
Yeah,
of
we
that.
have oppressors too, so.
Yeah. Yeah, don't get me started on that.
Okay. Go ahead, I'll allow a little limited
Just a
conversation.
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Does the proposal include inspections? Okay.
Yeah, and we need, that's why I'm wondering if we need a workshop to go through, because we've been presented with several different sample draft ordinances. And so we need to figure out what we as council wanna move forward. And, so we need to work through that, but yeah, absolutely, there's mechanism for fees, and if I kinda sum it up, just, there would be mechanism for fees, there would be enforcement, you know, there would be a permitting process, but I'll interject my 2 cents here, I wasn't going to tonight, but, I have spent quite a bit of time getting better educated on this. It was no secret that I was open to this conversation throughout the entirety of my campaign. I had not made a decision on what was good for, what I felt was good for Thermopolis, for the people that I'm talking to. I think we're at a point where, self-reliance is something we can provide to people and not be a hindrance in their way of that. I have spoken with other municipalities. The mayor of Cody, put it pretty good, the way Cody has it is, we just have nuisance ordinances, so you could have Clydesdales in your backyard, and as long as they don't rise to the level of nuisance, I don't see that being a great fit for Thermopolis, but, I happened to spend the weekend, in Farmington, Utah, and we were at an Airbnb, and woke up and was having coffee, and I was in a neighborhood, and I looked at the neighbor's garden shed, and soon realized it was actually a stable. There were 3 horses in the middle of this neighborhood, so, so I thought that was interesting. So, the benefits to the community, in particular the people that want to raise chickens, outweigh a lot of the concerns. The other thing is, I have talked to other communities where this has divided the community, and they come to a vote, and it's a thin margin, and at the end of the day, all that was for nothing, because there's about 6 residents that have chickens. So, that's the other reality of a lot of communities that are experiencing this. So, anyway, that's my 2 cents. I appreciate you for indulging me. So Marshall, if we were to take any action tonight, would we need to have a vote to formally move forward with anything, or just kind of have a consensus leaving here and come up with a plan in the days to come?
Just a consensus of how you wanna proceed going forward. Whether you want me to start drafting, or if you have enough and you wanna have a workshop and give you directions on what you want the draft code, so you can have it for the first night to read off and have discussions on.
Okay. Council, what would be your wish there? Do you think we need a workshop, or do you, oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking it would be, in my mind, we should have a vote to approve it contingent on finalizing the ordinance. And, you know, if the council isn't their desire to move that direction, then we shouldn't draft an ordinance.
Right.
So that's why, I mean, I don't know.
And a yes would give him some ability to move forward, in a sense, right?
So I guess the risk we would run is that we give kind of that light yes tonight, not the official stamp of approval, and then something happens, some sort of information comes in that we don't have to date, and changes things. But-
The problem with that is, it has to be read into the record.
Right. So I think what Councilmember Lewis, correct me if I'm wrong, what you're saying is more of just a vote of confidence, basically, that we can move forward with drafting resolution.
Yeah, that it's our job at that point to come up with something that handles what we need.
Right, then we can do the 3 readings and go from there. So, do you have a comfort level with that, Marshall?
That's basically what I was saying
Okay.
to begin with, you just need to, as a general group, decide what you
Okay.
want me to do.
Okay. So what do you think? Do we need a workshop, or do we just need to see a draft ordinance and we can kind of go from there? And
First thing we better do is vote if the council agrees to allow it. I think they will, but
okay,
I'll make a motion that we allow the chickens contingent on drawing up an ordinance that appeases and passes 3 readings.
I would second.
so we have a motion and a second. Is everyone clear on the motion? Any discussion on that particular motion?
And it just made me think when you said divide communities, but only have 6 people, doing it. I think we have more free-range turkeys in the community. And we would have chicken
Yeah.
owners.
Yeah.
So, I mean. Let's go back to that.
Yes, I agree, because I chased them out of my driveway. Okay, any other discussion on the motion? The question before us is motion to approve, or to say yes to the chickens, contingent on our 3 readings and drafting an ordinance that we all can get behind. Seeing no other discussion on the motion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Clerk, you have your ayes and you have your fours and against? So that would prevail, and now we can move on to the next step and work on drafting ordinance. So then, council, I put the question back to you. Would you wanna have a workshop to work through what that ordinance might look like to make sure we're including other parties in that dialogue and making,
probably should. Ones that were presented in our packet is a pretty good one, I think. The rules that we come up with.
yeah, I think, I agree, Mr. Butcher and unnamed source, did a good job with a lot of that legwork, so. It gives us a really good starting point, I think, to where we wouldn't have to put too much time into it.
Yeah.
So, would we entertain doing that in the next week, to do a workshop on that? What is everyone's?
I would make a motion, we have a workshop to come up with an ordinance for the rules and regulations that we're all in agreement on.
Okay, would we wanna just do that next Tuesday at the same that time, same that channel?
And
Okay,
do you wanna do it next
Tuesday at 7, will that work for everyone?
next Tuesday? That should,
think that
yeah,
works for
I think so.
Double check. Jim and I haven't figured out how to link our calendars yet, so.
That should.
The 14th,
21st.
so that'd be the 14th,
Oh, 14th.
14th at 7.
I'm so far ahead, I think I'm behind or something. Okay.
So, all right, we have a motion for a workshop, discussing the chicken ordinance on the 14th at 7 o'clock here at Town Hall. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we'll be here for that, and, short of council, telling me no way in heck, I would allow some public comment at that. I think it'd be a good place for, if people are interested and wanna come, give some input on that, we would definitely take that, at that meeting, so.
Thank you all for hearing me.
Thank you. Thank you. And Darren and I met a couple weeks ago or a week ago or whenever we met. And I said, my hope is that soon enough, he will bear the fruit of his work here and become the urban agriculture guy and not the chicken guy anymore. All right, we do not have any scheduled public hearings tonight, so we will move on to our department town reports. We do not have representation of, unless we have an officer hiding somewhere. But you all have their report, and if you do have any questions on that, you can certainly reach out to Chief Cornwell on anything in the police report. Any discussion anyone wants to have on that? All right, Public Works, Jim, you wanna take the reins on the annual quality report, just kind of what you've been doing to get it posted and everything else?
Sure, so what we have is our 2022 annual water quality report for the town of Thermopolis. For us, we have to post it. I have copies in the lobby. If there's not enough, it's a pretty long report. I will make up more if there's more people that are in need of that. We also have it on our town website for the town of Thermopolis. It's posted there as well. The report is one that comes out every year, basically talking about anything or findings that's in the water. It gives a brief description of everything from, is my water safe, how they do the testing and so forth. So good information. Once it gets to the report online, it kind of jumbles the information, the numerics, how it comes out for an Excel package. But again, on the hard copies, those reports come out just fine, and you're welcome to look at those or take a report home with you.
Thank you, Jim. We'll move on to town engineering, Anthony.
Mr. Mayor and Council, excuse me. I more tonight have a continuation of the Public Works update, since Ernie's not here to bear the bad news as often he gets to. One of the big items that I spoke with Basil today about, the newer track loader at the landfill, the final drive has gone out of it and there's a wiring harness issue. So that piece of equipment will have to be hauled to Casper. Looks like it's about 2 months out now to even get it into the shop. So that's gonna be one of those that's probably have to get it down there to figure out exactly what needs to be fixed, but that'll be a larger ticket item. I think I spoke at the last meeting about it, just a couple pumps that were out at the airport lift station with the snow. They haven't gotten those fixed, but a couple years ago, Public Works did get a spare pump up there, so won't be an issue there. And then the water plant crew, with Ernie being out, has also been working to schedule some tank cleanings this spring and try and get that budget again for next year, since we fell behind a year with COVID here a couple years ago. So there's the Public Works Director's been out, but the crew's done a good job keeping everything moving along and up to speed. But unless you have any questions, that's all I had.
Any questions for Anthony?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Keller, do you have anything to report to council?
Nothing tonight.
Thank you. Jim, nothing really on the code enforcement side just yet. But we do have a officer now, so that's good. We're getting that relationship built. So. For the admin side, I would like to just take a moment and discuss snow removal, because it's obviously been a hot button issue. We take that very seriously. There is a method to the madness, and we have a crew of 3. Is I think the part that a lot of people that are frustrated don't realize is we have a crew of 3. We do, as the admin team, Jim and I, we do take those complaints seriously, and we go out and look at them. And obviously there are days you got to have decisions that you make on what you're going to do. So we've had a few where we've gone out and identified places that need to be worked on. But like for instance today, though, both vac trucks were down in the shop, so we didn't get any hot water moved today. So we lost a sunny day there, but that was out of our control. There was a sizable complaint that came in on Bryan Street, and so I went out there myself before the meeting and got stuck. And so I spoke with Basil, and you know, I said, as long as you're kinda goes to, we're gonna do this or this today, but we can't jump ahead, otherwise we just make the problem worse, so. They're working hard, they're going to go to Ryan Street, not just cause they got stuck there, but it was a good spot for them to put their efforts tomorrow, so. We are working at it, Basil said he has not seen ice like this before, so it's very, very interesting how it behaves, so. And then we also have to be cautious how hard we work it, so we're not ripping up our roads and creating even more problems because the potholes are showing up. So the answer to what we're going to do with the potholes is we're going to patch them. So when such an appropriate time arises, so we are working on those things, and we do appreciate the community's patience and letting us know where there are major problem spots, and we're addressing those as they come up, and those guys on that crew are working hard, and the guys on the sanitation crew are putting in some weekend hours as well to help alleviate some of that burden, so we are working on it.
Hey, Mayor,
Yeah.
what's, parameters till they can start patching those potholes?
I think typically you want your days to be at a certain temperature. I'm not exactly sure what it is for that patching, but you also want to be to where you're not where we see no one throw anything at me, but we see another storm coming here, end of the week, and then we have if you subscribe to any of the weather podcasts for the actual local region, you see there's kind of a conveyor belt of those coming. So some of the potholes we've had some conversation on maybe just going to put some gravel in so we don't
That's what I was wondering.
so we don't
If it
lose
was
any cars.
Too far out, if we
Yeah.
could just dump
And
some gravel.
Because it could be, yeah. So I think like 14th with a lot of people, parents going to the middle school and that it's becoming problematic.
I will assure you that this town does a better job of snow removal than any town I've ever seen. Most towns do the main streets, and they don't do any side streets at all. These guys do a tremendous job here.
Yeah. And Jim and I and Tracy and the crew here that field a lot of calls, Basil stops in several times a day to see what's on the list now, so they're very aware and in tune to that, so.
I don't know how Rachel gets around with that mail,
I don't.
cause I have to put my truck in a 4-wheel drive every time I go in front of my house.
I mean, back it up in front of your house.
But I appreciate what the town does for it. 'Cause
Yeah, because there are other communities in the state that are telling people on residential streets that spring will come, and that is when your road will get taken care of, so. We're gonna keep fighting at it, so, until Tracy tells us we're out of money.
You probably told you that a long time ago.
Yeah, I've been told that several times, so, but we keep working and it's good. Okay, any other questions or comments on the snow removal stuff? All right, then, council, anything else you want to address tonight?
I did have a call about some fencing at the proposed transfer station area.
We are addressing that, and we're working with legal, and I think, that will be something we bring to executive session at the next meeting, so. Anyone else who receives that phone call knows we're working on it.
One, thing I thought of the other day, we talked, and I think it's been a few years, about trying to do some park improvements years back, and I don't think we never really pulled the trigger on much. And I just thought I'd like to plant a seed in you guys' minds for that maybe, moving forward.
I think that's timely, because we're starting the budget talks, so it'd be timely to start addressing that as well. Great. Anything else? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
We have a motion and a second.
Sorry.
We have a second. There's a non-debatable motion. All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all.